It's March 2015, and just a few weeks before Adrian and I embark on our once-in-a-lifetime adventure. Our plan is to fly a complete circuit of the continental United States in Adrian's Cessna 172. You can follow our trip with this video blog with daily episodes of the trip itself starting March 30th. In this episode, you'll learn about how Adrian started flying, how the trip came about, and about the preparations so far. In May last year, out of the blue, I received a short and sweet email from Adrian. 3-week vacation, you and I, cross-country USA, coast to coast. Both of us had to get travel approval from our better halves, but soon the planning could begin. Adrian started flying 3.5 years ago when Delphine gave him a discovery flight for his birthday.
So it took me 9 months to get my license. That was dedicating about 2 hours twice a week to go to the airport and get the ground school and the flight training done. But you know what? It's extremely rewarding because you get to walk away with this. And this, my friend, is valid for life. Of course, you need to stay current on your medical and you need to buy an annual flight review, but it's amazing.
I was visiting Adrian in May 2013 and was planning to go flying with him on a tour of San Francisco Bay. But he surprised me by giving me a discovery flight for my birthday. So my first experience even sitting in such a small plane was at the controls and taking off myself, with a qualified instructor, of course. Adrian bought his own plane in November 2013. He found the 40-year-old Cessna in Palo Alto while doing a video for an aircraft broker.
Yeah, it's a model Mike Cessna 172, very basic 6-pack avionics, 2 radios that are still working, a couple of pieces of equipment that are in op, but it was never a trainer, and the fuselage is as straight as an arrow. It's got fantastic flight characteristics, very predictable, and it spent time up in Washington. I believe from what I could tell, it was a part of a flight club, and then most recently in Arkansas.
I've flown with Adrian a couple of times since, over San Francisco Bay, up to Santa Rosa, and down to an air show in Paso Robles.
So the idea for this trip had been brewing for about 2 years, and I was speaking to a pilot who said that if I was able to spend 5 hours in this aircraft on any given day and want to get back into the aircraft the next day and do another 5 hours, then I was certainly pilot material. So I kind of took that challenge to heart and said, how about flying across the country? But I was not going to do this alone. And I think that this trip is a phenomenal opportunity for Jonathan and I to celebrate our 35-year friendship. And I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I believe he is as well.
The original plan that Adrian sent in his first email had us crossing the US on a southerly route, ending up in Florida, and then flying back the way we came. When traveling for the sake of the journey rather than for the destination, I hate going there and back the same route. So I asked Adrian if we could do more of a circular route. The next thing I knew, we had a complete circuit planned, and Adrian started refining it to take in various sites or avoiding restricted airspace and mountains. The planned route now takes us to Grand Canyon, Monument Valley, and to an airplane boneyard in the middle of the Arizona desert. Then on through New Mexico, Texas, and the southern states. We'll visit Tuskegee, where the first squadron of African-American pilots was trained in World War II. We hit the East Coast near Charleston, South Carolina, and travel north to the place where the Wright brothers first flew an airplane in 1903. After that, past Washington to New York, where we hope to fly along the Hudson River with a spectacular view of Manhattan. Our most northeasterly point is Mansfield, Massachusetts, where we will meet up with Raoul and his family. Then we head west again, first to Niagara Falls, then to Chicago. After crossing the Midwest, we will head for Mount Rushmore, then on to Yellowstone National Park. Our final stop is Payne Field, north of Seattle, where we will visit the Boeing aircraft factory. And then it's due south back to the Bay Area to complete the circuit. We will be flying under visual flight rules, or VFR, in a small plane, so we are very susceptible to the weather. This means that we may need to change our plans if weather conditions along the route are not ideal. But if all goes to plan, we will complete the circuit in about 15 days, including a couple of no-fly days. And if the worst comes to the worst?
Contingency plan is pretty simple. If either one of us gets sick, or we get sick of the trip, or we run out of time, we look for a ferry pilot to take the aircraft back to California, and we'll fly back commercially, leave it up to the professionals to get us home. So I think that's a pretty good plan.
The US Federal Aviation Authority, the FAA, only requires one qualified pilot on board.
I think Jonathan will be an equal partner when it comes to helping out with navigation, calculating how much fuel we have left on board and how long it's going to take. Do we have enough fuel to get to our destination, still have enough reserves? Also, changing radio frequencies as air traffic control calls that in, especially during the critical phases of flight.
I'll also be doing a so-called pinch hitter course with a qualified instructor before we start.
If for some reason during the flight I get sick or just don't feel right, that he's able, either with my help or without my help, to get us back on the ground safely. So as far as I'm concerned, he's an equal partner. As far as the FAA is concerned, he's along for the ride.
A trip like this involves a huge amount of preparation, taking probably more time than the trip itself. Adrian has studied the airports and weather patterns, he's attended safety courses and invested in the maintenance of the aircraft.
To make sure that it can carry us those 6,000 to 7,000 miles and 60 to 70 hours that we'll be flying in that airplane. I've invested in some technology that will enhance our situational awareness with real-time weather in the cockpit on our iPads, as well as traffic. So it's been a lot of work, but it's fun also.
My flights to San Francisco are booked. We've both got time off work, so we're ready for our trip of a lifetime. If you want to follow our video blog, subscribe to this YouTube channel, friend me on Facebook, or just send me an email. The next episode will be around March 30th about my pinch hitter course just before we leave.